Good morning. I welcome you all for this lecture series in the course Manufacturing and Measurement Techniques. Today we have a beautiful topic, bore gauge and bore dials. So today's topics for discussion is why we need to use bore dial and what is bore dial gauge and what is telescopic gauge and their applications. So let us empathize this topic using a engine block or a cylinder. So you all know well that any automobile component will have a heart, that is the four-stroke engine has a engine block or a cylinder where the energy is transferred from fuel and the piston is moved and the crankshafts are rotating so that we are getting the power for the engine. So this complete block is manufactured using various manufacturing methods or process, and we have particularly CNC machine is being used to manufacture this particular cylinder or engine block. Uh, can you tell me how we can measure this cylinder bore? Can we use vernier caliper? Is it possible to measure the size of the or the dia of the cylinder bore from the top to the bottom? It has a bottom dead center as well as top dead center, you all know. So likewise, we have lot of diameters inside this particular cylinder block. So this cylinder block will be the major part in the automobile, which is very important for mileage of the automobile, performance of the automobile, comfort of the comfort journey of the passenger. Everything is taken care of with the help of this cylinder block. That is why we call this engine block as heart of the automobile. So coming to the measurement of this bore from the top dead center to bottom dead center, the diameter, we use bore gauge. So this bore gauge will be measuring the diameter or comparing with the standard dimensions that is available in the drawing. So internal diameters can be measured using this bore gauge. Telescopic gauge measures internal dimensions accurately. Bore gauge and telescopic gauge both are same, but we can have the difference of dimensions in the bore gauge. Telescopic gauge, we can tell whether it's like a go gauge or no go gauge. So essential for accurate assessments and allows for necessary modifications in the measurements. So we can classify this bore gauge into three types. One is 3-point bore gauge, dial bore gauge, and 2-point bore gauge. Here the pictorial view represents the 3-point bore gauge for measuring the internal diameter of the cylinder block as we seen in the first slide. So bore gauge measurements, like you have to plunge the bore and touch the bore surface, displacement transmitted through the circuit, and we can get the digital display of the diameter, and precise measurements and adjustments are made to get the proper dimensions of the bore. So we have various applications, that is tolerance in machining, inner diameter measurement, and engine cylinder bore assessment is mainly we use this bore gauge. So telescopic gauge, it is used for measuring internal bores indirectly. So expandable spring loaded tips lock inside bore. Measurement taking using micrometer or vernier caliper will be the base for telescopic gauge. So applications of telescopic gauge is nothing but checking the internal diameters of the small to medium bores, suitable for locations where bore gauge cannot be used, common in tool rooms, maintenance and inspection. So coming to the recap of this particular session, so we have started with the cylinder block, and in the cylinder block or engine, where there are a lot of four cylinder bores. and the diameter of the cylinder bore can be measured using these two major instruments. One is bore gauge and telescopic gauge. We have seen the general information of the bore gauge types, working principles, applications, and the telescopic gauge, again the introduction and application part of the telescopic gauge. So coming to the assessment part, which instruments gives direct reading of the bore size, right? We can go for telescopic gauge, and telescopic gauge measurement is finalized using a micrometer is the right answer. So I hope you understood about this bore gauge and telescopic gauge in detail. So let us have a hands-on experience when we visit our automobile lab. So here are the references for the same. You can explore various topics on this particular dial gauges. Thank you all.